Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another live stream. Today, I'm actually going to be taking you guys down a rabbit hole that I myself was pretty shocked when I discovered some of this information, which explains why things are happening the way they are in terms of the Israeli control of the US government. In today's presentation, guys, prepare to go deep into a rabbit hole. Perhaps some of you might be a little shocked with some of the information that I'm about to reveal. Um, Perhaps this presentation is not going to make it past 24 hours. Who knows? It's probably just going to be on for a few hours and it's going to be taken off. But as I went deep into the rabbit hole in the last couple of days, I uncovered some disturbing information. But again, I need to share with everyone so you guys can know exactly what's happening, especially with the hundreds and thousands of redactive pages, blank black pages that are coming out without any evidence of anything regarding the Epstein files. So we're going to go pretty deep today. With that having been said, I think I'm going to get right into it. All right, guys. Sorry, no intro today. Really quick, my name is Ishmael Perez. I am the author of those two amazing books, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic Origin, both which are restoring vital information in preparation for the ascension of the earth. All right, let's get right into it, guys. Again, a little warning here, and also for all entertainment purposes, okay? I definitely don't want to lose my channel, and I want to advise every single one of you that with what I'm about to share, guys, it's going to sum up and fill in all these gaps that we've all been searching for, okay? So I want to be explaining first and foremost what is known as the Epstein-Maxwell intelligence connections, okay? Beginning with the criminal network that was operated by, of course, the tyrant of the East. And so this is perhaps one of the most disturbing scandals of the modern era, okay? Beyond the documented crimes and sexual trafficking and abuse, there is an alternative narrative that has emerged that Epstein operations function as an intelligence-linked honeypot. Now, I want you guys to remember that word, honeypot, because I'm going to go deep regarding what that is and how that relates to some of the sinister operations that have been conducted from behind the scenes, okay? And the honeypot is a design trap in order to entrap powerful individuals, okay? So central to this operation is former, okay, if you can't find my glasses, then I'll just use whatever is here. I mean, I don't know what to say. Thank you, though. Okay, so the criminal network that was operated by Jeffrey remains one of the most disturbing scandals, and a lot of this is connected to an intelligence-linked honeypot operation that was designed to entrap powerful individuals. Central to this operation is former Israeli intelligence Ara Ben Maneshe, whose public statements have fueled ongoing controversy. Well, Ara Ben Maneshe's has stated publicly that Epstein ran a foreign intelligence blackmail operation after being recruited through Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, according to Ben Menashe, the purpose of the operation was compromat, in other words, to compromise, coercive leverage over political, financial, and academic elites. Well, these claims, while widely circulated, especially nowadays with what happened a few months ago with Charlie Kirk, and again, guys, I'm just here presenting some new evidence. Take what resonates and take what doesn't resonate. But like I said, we're going to go deep into the rabbit hole today. So these claims, while widely circulated, apparently are something that needs to be critically examined, especially with all of the facts that I'm about to share with you guys and the connections. So let's start with Robert Maxwell. Well, Robert Maxwell is the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, and he was a British media magnate with extraordinary close ties to the Israeli leadership. Well, first and foremost, I'm not against Jewish people, okay, or the faith, the Judeo-Christian tradition. I'm not against that. But I am aware of the sinister plot that is being run by a group known as the Zionists. So I guess the best way to say it is, let me start by saying this. The real enemy of the Republic is not Islam. It's not it's not ISIS, okay? It's not the Ayatollah. It is Zionism, okay, guys? Zionism. And there is a difference between political Zionist and the Jewish tradition. Bear in mind. Okay, let's continue. So this high-level state, you could say, this state-level funeral in Jerusalem, we're talking about Robert Maxwell, who was the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, attended by senior Israeli officials, is a matter of public record. Journalists and intelligent commentators have long known that Robert Maxwell had intelligent affiliation with the Mossad agency, okay? And this claim was apparently buried under classified records until now. So let's go further than that, okay? Now I'm going to be explaining what the MEGA, not MAGA, MEGA with an MEGA group are, and the elite networks, okay? This is a organization mainly composed of wealthy individuals that are so-called engaged in philanthropy, business, and political advocacy. Okay, so Maxwell's business partner, we're talking about the father of Ghislaine Maxwell. His business partner was Charles Bronfman, who was the co-founder of Bronfman, who was a co-founder of what became informally known as the MEGA Group. And that's MEGA, nothing to do with Make America Great Again. This is a totally different organization. This is MEGA with an MEGA, which is a loosely organized circle of, again, wealthy individuals that are supposedly engaged in philanthropy, business, and political advocacy. Well, reportings have described the group as very influential and private, but it has, of course, no formal structure, charter, or even proven role in criminal activity. But as you dig deeper into the classified information, this group is totally run by what is known as the Octagon Group. I think I mentioned who the Octagon Group was in prior presentations, which is the core of the embodiment of the Antichrist that has been ruling the power structures of our world. So this MEGA, MEGA, not MAGA, this MEGA group has been described in media as funding pro-Israeli causes. However, political advocacy alone does not establish criminal conspiracy, and no court has found the group to have direct Epstein crimes in the open world. But again, within the classified records, all roads lead to Israel, okay, including what happened on September 11, 2001, the towers, okay? Another thing I wanted to mention is Maria Farmer. Okay, well, one of Epstein's earlier accusers was a lady by the name Maria Farmer, who reported abuse to authorities back in the 1990s. And Farmer has described experiencing racial and ideological abuse and has stated that her belief that Epstein's operation was run by powerful figures within the MEGA, not MAGA, MEGA group, Octagon Group, okay? These statements are firsthand testimony of all the abuse and perception. Well, let's talk about Les Wexner. Again, guys, we're going to go deep into the rabbit hole today. So some of you guys might be a little shocked with what I'm about to say, but some of you guys are going to be like, well, that makes a lot of sense, okay? So just take what resonates and discard what doesn't. But I always advise each and every single one of you to do your own research. Okay, so Les Wexner and the financial power. The most concrete and documented relationship in the Epstein rise is with Les Wexner, who was the founder of L Brand's Victoria's Secret. Well, Wexner was Epstein's only publicly identified financial client, granting him sweeping power over attorney and transferred him to a Manhattan townhome that later valued at approximately $77 million. Well, that's the townhome that became central location in Epstein's social and criminal network. So, despite the scale of this relationship, Wexner has denied knowledge of Epstein's crimes, and no criminal charges have been brought against him. But of course, within the classified records, all roads lead to the Zionists, the political Zionists. Okay, again, for those of us just jumping on, the real enemy of the Republic are not Islamic networks. It is political Zionism. Okay, all right, let me continue here. Epstein's entry into high finance occurred when Alan Greenberg, who then was the CEO of Bernsteins, hired Epstein in the 1970s, despite Epstein's lacking a conventional financial background. Well, Alan Greenberg's association with wealthy networks is very documented, okay, within the highest levels of classified information. This is stuff that they cover up. So the evidence has been established that this person, Greenberg, Alan Greenberg, is associated with the international intelligence net agencies. Okay. So another prominent individual that is associated with the Epstein includes Ronald Lauder, who was president of the World Jewish Congress and a major donor to Israeli political causes. Another one is Alan Dershowitz. Notice how all of these last names sound more German than they sound Jewish. I wonder why. Well, one of the biggest drops that I'm going to share with you guys at the end of the presentation is the fact that even Netanyahu is not Netanyahu. He changed his name. I will reveal who he really is, okay? All right, so there's Alan Dershowitz, who is Epstein's former lawyer and longtime associate, author of The Case for Israel, who has denied all allegations against him, of course. Then there is Ehud Barak, E-H-U-E-U-D, Ehud Barak, who met Epstein's multiple times, and there's documentation for this, all right, and entered a business relationship involving the tech firm Carbine, which employed former Israeli intelligence and military personnel. Well, this guy by the name of Ehud Barak has acknowledged receiving approximately 2 million from the Wexner Foundation for research in the mid-2000s, and has stated that he was introduced to Epstein by another guy by the name of Shimon Peres. Who also delivered the eulogy at Robert Maxwell's funeral. Well, again, Robert Maxwell was the father of Ghislaine Maxwell. If you guys are just jumping on, make sure you watch this from the beginning. We're going to go into a rabbit hole that no one dares to go into. But again, take what resonates and take what doesn't. So Robert Maxwell is the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, okay? Barak denied knowledge of Epstein's criminal conduct at that time. And so the Epstein case apparently has revealed that wealth, secrecy, and power could always be shielded for decades when it comes to blackmail. Now, I'm going to get into something a little bit more disturbing. Okay, so before I do, there is the unresolved question right now, and that is if whether Epstein's network was protected for decades, and it was. But the question is, who protected this network that led to all these evil things happening, right? Especially with innocents, and why? All right. Well, the answer is all roads lead to the tyrant of exactly. Okay. All right. So let's continue this. And just for a state of making a clarification here. The political Zionists are not the same Jews of the Bible. In fact, they are the opposite bloodline. They are the Esu Nimrod bloodline, which I reveal in my book, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects. Okay. They are a human reptilian hybrid bloodline that has been dominating our world since Babylonian times. Okay. I just wanted to point that out there. I have nothing against the Jewish community, but I'm here exposing the great evil that is manipulating and in control of our world. Okay, so in a, you could say, riveting and controversial interview, political commentator Candace Owens, this is where I'm going to take you guys a little bit deeper into the rabbit hole, sat down with a witness whose testimony has reignited conversations surrounding the suspicious circumstances of Charlie Kirk's assassin. Well, the witness, whose identity remains protected for security reasons, claims to have seen Erica Kirk, Charlie's wife, and Brian Harpole, who is the head of security at Fort Huachuca, which is a military base in Arizona, just one day before Kirk's tragic death. Well, let's talk about some facts associated with Fort Huachuca military base station. Well, this revelation raises urgent questions, apparently, and connects deeply with the broader narrative of infiltration, covert operations, and geopolitical manipulation. So is there a cover-up? Heck yeah. All right. Check this out. Fort Huachuca. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Huachuca. Fort Huachuca. Huachuca? Oh, Huachuca. Fort Huachuca, which is a nexus for military and drone development, is located in southern Arizona and is no ordinary military base. Okay. It has long been known as a hub for advanced intelligence and drone warfare development. Well, it is home to the U.S. Army Intelligence Center and various covert divisions. Fort Huachuca has played a quiet but critical role in developing surveillance and drone strikes capabilities that extend across the globe. Well, the base connections to intelligence operations makes any association with civilian or semi-civilian personnel, especially individuals that are tied to high-profile political figures, extremely alarming. Well, the fact that Erica Kirk and Brian Harpole were at Fort Huachuca so close to the time of Charlie Kirk's event cannot be dismissed as a mere coincidence. When contextualized from within, the base history and the strategic role in drone and intelligence operations, the possibility emerges that Charlie may have been targeted through technological or intelligent means developed at a very facility in question, at that very facility in question. Well, when you look at the family ties, now again, this is where it goes deep into the rabbit hole. When you look at the family ties, and I'm talking Erica Kirk's family ties and the corporate connections that they have, okay? Well, to further complicate this narrative, guys, is the revelation that Erica Kirk's mother owned and operated a company with direct connections to Fort Huachuca. Okay, it's spelled Huachuca, Huachuca. While full corporate records are still being investigated by independent journalists and watchdogs, preliminary reports indicate that this company may have provided either technological services or logistics support to defense contractors working within this base. And that is the proven reason or the fact as to why Erica Kirk's mom moved out to Arizona, okay, because of her ties with this company. So if these ties are firm, which according to this new evidence, they look like they're pretty solid, and especially when I reveal her family's political Zionist connections. I mean, you guys are going to be mind blown here, okay? We're talking about a person who is portraying to be a believer in Christ, who is apparently is a honeypot, okay? Well, okay, so if this is confirmed, which I believe it is, okay, and again, this is the reason why now Israel is trying to take over the censorship of all media. So again, make sure you guys watch this because I think that this is probably going to get deleted. This could suggest that Erica Kirk had familial and potential financial entanglements with military-industrial complex, entanglements that may have placed Charlie Kirk in the crosshairs of a broader operation, especially given his outspoken opposition against political Zionism a few weeks prior to the incident. Think about that, guys. Okay? Charlie Kirk denounced, all right, 150 million that was being offered by Netanyahu a few weeks prior to his taking out. Okay? And all of a sudden, his wife is inheriting his empire. Well, think about this, okay? This is the way the globalists infiltrate even what we call the Republican Party. Okay, I know this is a little out there, guys, but you guys have to bear with me here. I have a lot more information that I need you guys to hear before my battery dies here. There we go. Okay, so for many within the truth-seeking community, this sequence of events appears to fit a larger pattern connected to the globalist Zionist and their attempt to infiltrate the White Hats. Well, it turns out that Charlie Kirk, who was a White Hat, okay, and again, you know, he was uncorruptible, he was pure, who was once seen as a rising figure within the conservative and anti-globalist movement, had apparently amassed considerable influence, and we all know that, right? Well, his assassination, especially under such suspicious circumstances, is now looking more like a random and more like it's looking more less like a random act and more like a strategic elimination when you guys really think about it. Well, the presence of Erica and Harpel at a top secret military installation one day before his taken out, before what happened in Utah, suggests that they might have been fractures within the Charlie Kirk's inner circle, infiltrators that were pretending to be his bodyguards. Well, that explains the hand signals that were given. It seems like everyone within his circle were apparently agents of the Mossad. Think about that, guys, okay? And yes, they were compromised, and that explains the hand symbols. Okay, everybody was in on it. I'm sorry to say this. All right, this is a deep rabbit hole. Well, the question is, were they willing participants in a broader scheme, or were they manipulated as part of a larger chessboard? I think it's probably the second reason, right? People sell their souls for money. Well, these are apparently some questions that even social media mogul Candace Owens is bringing up to light. Well, Candace Owens' interview with the Eyewitness has opened the floodgates for a deeper investigation, one that cuts through the layers of media silence, intelligence secrecy, and political misdirection. Well, the ties between Fort Hushaka and Erica Kirk's family connections and the timing of Charlie Kirk's assassin from a puzzle that can no longer be ignored. Okay, so as we continue to peel back the layers of this developing story, one truth becomes increasingly clear here, and that is that the political Zionists, who are, by the way, the core of the globalists, they are being run by the House of Rothschild. Infiltration is no longer a distant threat. It is here, and it may have already compromised those closest to the movement's most influential voices. Well, let's go into describing what the angel of TPUSA is, which was Erica Kirk's, I guess, planted acid all along. I don't know if you guys ever heard, but before she met Charlie Ward, she ran a Romanian, you could say, child. Well, they made it seem like if it was like something good for the children, for children that needed homes, but it turns out that it was actually, they called it the Romanian Angels, okay, which was a trafficking front for the political Zionists, where they were actually transferring little ones to elite families to be exploited, and all over the world. Okay, so again, you have to understand that this is political Zionism at its finest. Okay, and the reason why there is a huge control and censorship over the media right now is because the tyrant of Israel, is trying to buy out all social media outlets, or at least is trying to get in a position where everything is being monitored, unfortunately. Okay, and this is why the Galactic Alliance will need to intervene. Now, I do have a briefing coming from the Galactic Alliance, and it sounds like they are going to intervene at this point. Okay, so let's talk about the Romanian angels. So years before stepping into Charlie Kirk's life, Erica ran a so-called orphan ministry in Constanta, Romania, that was known as Romanian Angels. Well, the locals there didn't call it a charity, they called it a child transferring apparatus. Okay, pattern identical to the Clinton Foundation operation in Haiti, very similar. Mirrored again in Guatemala under Save the Children, very similar to that. The Romanian orphans that was being run by Erica Kirk were being exported and exploited over to Israel and the UK, to undisclosed islands as well, where they could do whatever they want with these kids. And we've seen this story before many times, guys. Okay, so let's talk about how it all happened. Well, if you look at Erica Kirk's resume, it reads like a psychological operation handbook. Okay, think about it. She was the winner of the 2012 Arizona beauty pageant. She had the casting director ties with the elites, right? She was the casting director, I'm sorry, had ties with the elites. She was the founder of multiple orphan ministries, which were apparently also transferring little ones. And she married Charlie Kirk, which is the MAGA golden boy. And yes, he was going to run for president in 2034 or 2028. Well, anyways, after a Trump-connected interview setup. Okay, so was this coincidence or a strategic placement? Well, Erica didn't just rise to power. She was placed there, okay? This is the family ties. She comes from a powerful Zionist family, guys, and this is what the media's covering up. So again, if you guys don't like what you're hearing, I am a patriot. I am for the free world. But when it comes to deception at its finest, I'm not going to be down for that, okay? So her father, Erica's father, owned a company by the name of Raytheon. Okay, I want you guys to take notes and then do your own research, which was Israel's division, Department of Defense. Well, wasn't Raytheon the one who created the Iron Dome over Israel? Yeah, Erica's father was in charge of that, guys. Okay, so this is the proof to the connections to the Zionists. Okay, her family ties to the Zionist is through her father, also her grandfather by the name of Carl Kenneth. You guys want to know what her real last name is? Fratzi. Okay, she changed her name, well, because she got married, but her real name is Francie. And so her grandfather, Carl Kenneth Francie, was VP at American Banknote Company that also tied to secure IDs and printing, and he was a knighted in Sweden, and he was connected to the Knights of Malta. So now we're talking about the secret societies that are being run by the Jesuit order. And speaking about the Jesuit order, did you know that Erica Kirk went to a Jesuit university? And for those that read The Secret Government, you guys know that all of these Jesuit universities who had access to, through a chronovisor technology, they had access to the future to see who was going to be influential, are the ones that are influencing and molding future political leaders into positions of power. Okay, so Erica Kirk's family is extremely connected to the Zionists. They are very wealthy, and she wasn't made rich by Charlie. Okay, she came from a money that's connected to the political Zionist. So let's continue here in this rabbit hole. Okay, so Roy Khan's blackmail empire. Let's talk about that a little bit. Well, this is part of the playbook. Okay. It turns out that Erica's rise from modeling to a missionary, supposedly, follows the same route, okay? She even attended Regis University, which is a Jesuit school in Denver. And just like others we've seen in covert roles, the whole Angels code name, Romanian Angels, ran of course, was an international transferring pipeline with eerie consistency, and the evidence is there. Okay, so all right, there are apparently connections to TPUSA and Freemasonic lodges. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Erica Kirk wears the famous Mason ring with, of course, the architect symbol of the Masons. Okay, so here is the connections to the Masons. TPUSA UK didn't launch in a coffee shop, apparently. It launched inside the Royal Automobile Club under the blessings of Prince Michael of Kent, who was the top Freemason dog in Europe. Well, at the table, we had George Farmer, who was Candace Owens' elite husband. And he was, of course, tied to Andrew Tate before the media frenzy. And guess who else was connected? Erica. Okay, Erica Kirk. So here's the real question, guys. According to all this evidence and the unearthing of her family ties to the political Zionists, coming from a wealthy, powerful family, perhaps under the control of the Rothschilds, the question remains, okay? Was Erica the loving wife of Charlie or his handler? Think about that. Or a CIA Mossad asset, right, who just took the reins of America's biggest conservative youth machine by assassinating Charlie. Well, think about it. Okay, here's more facts. I want you guys to do your own research. She met Charlie in Israel. She moved in to be very closely tied to the circles near Netanyahu. Well, there is evidence of a photo that arose in 2019 where you have Jair Netanyahu, who is the son of Netanyahu, taking a picture with Erica. Okay. Well, why would this picture circulate of Erica Kirk being close to the Netanyahus? All right. Well, apparently she does speak Hebrew on national TV now. Okay. And there has been reports circulating where you see her doing her, what is it, where you do your respect for the Jewish thing, you know? She also, I know some of you guys are thinking, what are you talking about, Ishmael? All right, so according to all this evidence, apparently she didn't inherit Charlie's empire. All right, she pretty much took it from him. Okay, and this explains why she's giving Candace Owens the evil eyes, and you could see in her eyes that she's not Christian, that she's demonic. Okay, you guys have to understand this is all part of the 24 protocols of the learned elders of Zion. This is part of the blueprint of world domination, right? Honeypots. All right. So this is all connected to the hidden bloodlines and their secrets. Okay. So there is a family member who is also exposing the truth, who is apparently Erica Kirk's cousin, who goes by the name of Nicole Rothstein. Rothstein, very similar, right? All right. So Erica Kirk's cousin by the name of Nicole Rothstein called Erica her twin soul and posted wild partying videos from the NYC days. Well, why did she erase the Jewish side of her family? That's the question. Well, the Casino Dynasty, donors to the Hebrew U, and Jerusalem's Elite Foundation. This is something that Erica's family was trying to pretty much cover up, okay, but they couldn't. Well, Nicole was more than just a cousin. She apparently was the bridge to that world, her political Zionist connection, okay? And Erica, of course, tries to scrub it all while preaching traditional values. Well, what if I tell you guys that in the end times, even the elect would be deceived, okay? A lot of people are thinking or seeing her as this Christian widow wife, but according to all this evidence that is surfacing, right, which again, some people call conspiracy theories. Well, come on, guys. We all know that conspiracy theories are very real, all right? Check this out. Charlie didn't just die, okay, according to this evidence. His political empire was ritually transferred and reborn under Erica's watch. And now those asking questions are told to shut up. Why? Well, why is it that always the ones with the deepest Israeli ties who scream, stop digging, get everything in the end? Because of who runs this world. Okay. So, anyone who reads the Birthright files knows the game. Okay. Apparently, her heritage is connected to Rothschild royalty, right? Explaining her father's company, Raytheon, and the company run by her mother here in Arizona that is connected to that military base. Okay. And so apparently, she's appearing as an evangelical Christian, but she's really a Zionist handler, okay, a political honey trap. And so they buy the influencers, and that's what Netanyahu is doing right now. He is trying to censor all social media. And when you ask the truth, they say, stop asking questions, right? So this explains why Kathy Owens is saying that if something happens to her, that she is not suicidal, because she knows that there is something that they are covering up that they don't want us to know. And unfortunately, certain elements within our own CIA, Department of Defense, were in on it. All right? We're in on this. And some even speculate, guys, that another honeypot that infiltrated the Trump administration is no other than Kash Patel's girlfriend. Another honeypot, meaning a girl that is working for the Mossad who is pretending to be his girlfriend or wife. I don't even know if he's married. All right. I told you guys we were going to go deep in the rabbit hole today. Okay. So Erica Kirk isn't who she claims she is, according to all these revelations. Her past isn't speculation. It is documented now, guys. And this is what they're trying to cover up. Okay. Her placement wasn't random. It was all by design. Okay. Her loyalty isn't to America. It's to something far more global. All right. And there is a picture with her standing with Netanyahu's son. Charlie Kirk's legacy is now apparently in her hands, unfortunately, and she's using it to protect the very machine that silenced the truth. So, the deeper the silence, the closer we get to the truth when you guys really think about this. And all right, let's continue here, guys. Let's continue here. So, and again, I decided to report on this today because of the fact that there are a lot of files within the Epstein records that are being redacted. And I could understand why. Okay, there is this is all connected to the tyrant of the Middle East. So in the shadowy corridors of global intelligence and political influences, there's been few organizations that have held as much mystical appearances as the Mossad. Okay, the Mossad is the most mysterious one. Well, for those who don't know who the Mossad is, that is Israel's national intelligence agency that has always been known for its highly sophisticated operations and unmatched covert capabilities, to the point where even us, the awakened, get deceived. Okay, well, the Mossad has long been believed to exert influence far beyond Israel's borders. And so it is believed that the Mossad has successfully infiltrated the Republican Party, unfortunately, with the honeypots, Erica Kirk being one of them, anticipated that through Trump and the patriots, it would be the vehicle that would restore the U.S. Constitution and challenge the existing globalist power structure run by the Zionists. So this is all part of the warfare, guys, okay? And that explains why Israel is going to be the last card to fall. And that explains why the Galactics are probably going to have to execute an emergency rescue liberation of the Earth. Okay, so let's continue here. We all know, based on our understanding of how secret societies work, that the oldest tool in the espionage playbook is used as the honeypots, individuals, often women, that are trained to seduce targets and create emotional and physical bonds with them. Well, in this type of infiltration, honeypots were strategically deployed to forge intimate relationships with rising stars within the influential movement. Charlie Kirk, for example, men and women who were forecasted to hold influence in future administrations, judiciary positions, and think tanks. So these honeypots operating under deep cover weren't merely physical distractions. They acted as psychological anchors, influencing key decisions and loyalties at critical junctures. Once trust and emotional connection became secured, unfortunately for Charlie, subtle shifts in ideology and decision making take place. And this is not chaotic operation, but a precise long-term game aimed at steering the political influence away from the populist or constitutionally rooted agendas and back into alignment with globalist strategies that ultimately benefit Israel's strategic interest. Well, if we look at this from a prophetic standpoint, because when I was researching this in the last couple of days, guys, and I've been working on this presentation for 2 days, probably perhaps about 12 hours, 6 hours yesterday, 6 hours today. I was pretty upset, okay? Because I liked Erica Kirk prior to falling into this rabbit hole and seeing her entire family ties to the political Zionists. I posed the question to Valiant Thor, why is this happening? And this is what Valiant Thor told me. Because the prophecies of the Revelation need to be fulfilled. And what does that have to do with? Well, according to ancient texts and prophetic traditions, when you guys think about it, both biblical and esoteric, they all talked about how there would be a series of global alignments necessary for the establishment of the third temple in Israel. So in order for there to be a restoration, a final battle where goodness eliminates evil, the third temple of Israel or Jerusalem needs to be established, okay? So according to this perspective, the manipulation of American politics, including the modern infiltration, unfortunately, of the Republican Party through these honeypots, and even Pam Bondi, I'm sorry to say this, but it seems like Pam Bondi is trying to cover up a lot of those documents related to the Epstein files. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but I think the Republican Party was infiltrated by the Mossad, okay? But again, there is a mitigation and counterattack to this by the alliance, and I will get to that in a little bit. So, according to Commander Valiant Thor, this is all part of an ancient prophecy, okay? And this doesn't mean that we've lost the war. All this means is that sometimes things need to be played out in order to fulfill prophecy and usher in the millennium, the golden age. And this explains why Israel is being saved for last, okay? So, in this interpretation, the compromise of the constitutional restoration movement has served on a larger purpose, right, to drain the swamp, and it has been. Well, and of course, to bring down the entire globalist structure. Well, at the core of the globalist structure, and I used to think that the head of the snake was the Vatican. Boy, was I wrong. At the core of the globalist structure is political Zionism, the last organization of Satan to fall, okay? So according to this prophecy, the facilitating geopolitical events that would create the conditions for the rebuilding of the third temple of Israel. Well, this temple is not merely a religious symbol, but a prophetic keystone in all Abrahamic prophecies, seen as essential for the unfolding of the end time scenario. Okay, well, despite the current control held by globalist forces, including those that are backed by the tyrant of the Middle East, this narrative suggests that their victory is short-lived. Okay, now, the alliance is prophesied also according to the secret knowledge, and this is a document that I was able to access by Commander Valiant Thor, because again, I asked him, like, why is this happening? And he said, well, sometimes things need to things need to occur for a bigger purpose. So the alliance is prophesied to systematically dismantle the deep state power structures worldwide. And according to this view, Israel is being saved for last. Okay. Once Israel builds the third temple, that's when all of a sudden, whether it's through the solar flash and the activation of our superhuman powers, or whether it's through the intervention of the Galactic Alliance, the host of heaven, that's when Israel's finally going to be taken out, okay, as the core of the system of the beast. Well, this is not a reference to the physical nation or its people. Again, this is reference to the political Zionist regime, which is controlled by the House of Rothschild, okay? So once the prophetic timeline has reached its culmination, which is going to happen very soon because, again, this current reality construct comes to an end by 2028 or earlier, okay? So once this prophetic timeline has reached its culmination with the third temple established and the final revelations unfolding, the alliance is expected to turn its attention to Israel, bringing about the exposure and removal of those embedded within this system of control. So, this idea that the Mossad has attempted to infiltrate MAGA, M-A-G-A, Make America Great Again, through honeypots and political manipulation may seem a little far-fetched to some of you, but when it remains a persistent theory among those who watch global events through both geopolitical and prophetic lenses, whether viewed as a cunning intelligence operation or a divinely sanctioned step in a prophetic timeline, the interplay between Israel, U.S. politics, and the coming changes in global power structures continue to awaken minds across the ideological spectrum. So, if prophecy holds true, which I believe it is, the current dominance of these covert powers is very temporary, and their reckoning is near. Okay, so according to a classified dossier, top level clearance 5, White Intelligent Deep Access Network, codename Operation Leviathan. Okay, so so according to this document, I'm going to give you guys a quick summary. This intelligence file contains analysis and compiled data referencing alleged Israeli directed blackmail operations targeting the 45th president of the United States. You guys all know who he is, right? Pontus. Utilizing a covert sexual compromat network operated in part by civilian asset Jeffrey Epstein. Central to the claim is former Israeli intelligence officer Ari Ben Maneshe, who has provided limited but specific data concerning Israeli Prime Minister who has direct knowledge and strategic use of compromising 4547. What? Why would he compromise? So that means that the reason why Trump is offering all this aid to Israel and kissing Netanyahu's butt is because Netanyahu, according to this document, has something on 45 as well. Well, this explains why they're delaying the Sarah Gesera, all right? This is a chess game, guys. This is a chess game, and I believe that according to prophecy, this is the final move before the alliance eliminates Israel, okay? So this is an operational objective, okay? In order to infiltrate elite Western political and financial circles through controlled honey trap environments, gather long-term blackmail material, and deploy strategic compromat to secure U.S. foreign policy concessions and domestic silence on Israel military and intelligence activities. Okay, so this source briefing comes from a White Hat dossier that apparently has not yet been released to the public, but thanks to my connections with Valiant Thor, Commander Valiant Thor, I was able to access this. So let's talk about this guy by the name of Ben Manashi Ari, okay? He was born in Iran, naturalized in Israel, and in a little bit, guys, I will be revealing the true Netanyahu well, his real name, he's actually a Polish descent. Okay, he comes from Poland. He's not really Israeli. I know. Again, we're going to go. We are going deep tonight, guys. Okay, so this guy, born in Iran, naturalized in Israel, later Canadian citizen, served in Israeli military intelligence between 1977 and 1987. Well, previously disclosed Iran-Contra related information, considered semi-credible due to track records of controversial but partially corroborated disclosures. So according to this statement, the American government is trapped by the Israelis. Jeffrey Epstein was one of their tools to trap them. Okay, I guess we kind of all knew that, right? But why 45 and 47? What is it that Netanyahu has on 45 and 47 where he's making him his number one servant right now? Okay. Well, subject has that history of blending verifiable materials with unverifiable claims. Assertions involving high-level compromise should be treated as possible but unconfirmed. Well, the role within Operation Leviathan is about revealing that Epstein served as a non-official cover NOC asset for an Israeli-led intelligence group by the name of what? For those that have been paying attention, MEGA, Mega, not MAGA, okay, Mega, operated through a private island, and of course was given a big home in Manhattan, New York, and other locations as controlled collection environments equipped with full audiovisual surveillance systems. And then, of course, part of Operation Leviathan is the targets were offered access to underage individuals. So this is a deep state operation, Operation Leviathan, and pretty much the crux of the entire Epstein criminal network. So targets were offered access to underage individuals, luxury environments, and secrecy in exchange for vulnerability. Really quick, before I continue with this report, what best gift to give this holiday season and the gift of Folium, guys? Don't forget that special, the 3 for the price of 2 and the 5 for the price of 3 ends very soon. The link is always in the description. All right, let's continue here. So, yeah, there's just so much information. I don't even know if I should continue here, but okay, so Operation Leviathan represents one of the most significant foreign penetrations of U.S. governments in recorded history. The intersection of espionage, elite influence networks, and sexual coercion constitutes a soft coup mechanism, silent, nonviolent, and all-consuming. The truth may still be buried, but the shadows is casting by the Epstein client network is reaching and opening up the corridors of the entire global power structure. And this is where it's all heading, given that they give us those files. And apparently now they're extending it to what? 3 weeks, 4 weeks? I'm kind of tired of this and I'm sick. All right. At this point, guys, I petitioned the Galactics to just come in a clear sweep, arrest everyone that has been compromised, including Kash Patel's girlfriend, Pam Bondi. And this is the reason why Dan Bongino resigned, because Dan Bongino can never be bought. And he is a very honest, integrated patriot. Okay, because a lot of people are asking me, Ishmael, why did Dan Bongino resign when they were trying to hide the Epstein client, the Epstein list? Well, because Dan Bongino could not be compromised. Okay, that's the reason why he resigned. He is still a patriot. So the truth could still be buried, but it's slowly but surely coming to the surface, guys. Okay, because part of 3i Atlas coming into our vicinity and part of what's happening right now with the planetary alignment, there is a planetary alignment going right now. Everything eventually comes to the surface. So you guys are getting first dibs into this rabbit hole connecting Erica Kirk's family with the political Zionist and the Rothschilds, before the public does. Okay. So the real name, I promise you guys that I will reveal the real name of Netanyahu. Okay. His real name is Milikowski. He is an Ashkenazi Jew from Poland. Milikowski, that is the real Netanyahu. He didn't grow up on the Jordan's banks, but in the New York elite salon. So apparently he was groomed by the Rockefellers, the Warburgs, J.P. Morgan and gang. And he doesn't represent a people. He represents a political machine, military movement in order to consolidate world power. So the final gambit of the Earth Alliance is the fall of Israel. According to the secret prophecies, the centuries-long struggle between freedom and control, the fall of the state of Israel, marked the final and decisive move by the Earth Alliance, which is a coordinated multinational Y-hat operation led by the real descendants of ancient Israel. The real descendants of ancient Israel are the Y-hats fighting against the fake Jews of political Zionism. That's pretty explainable. Read about the two warring bloodlines in the secret government, okay? So their aim is at dismantling, we're talking about the Y-hats here, the Earth Alliance, is at dismantling the global power structure that has long been manipulating governments, economies, and human consciousness itself. The collapse of Israel as a central node in the deep state's network is not ordinarily the fall of a nation. It is the disarming of a global command center, the decapitation of an entire shadow empire, according to the secret prophecies. And since its modern formation back in 1948, due to the Balfour Treaty, Israel has served as a dual role, one as a sovereign state built on survival, and another as a more covertly fortress of intelligence operations, financial manipulation, and geopolitical control. Though home to a rich culture and resilient people, it became over time a keystone for deep state intelligence, blackmail networks, and covert warfare. Its intelligence agencies, the Mossad, function not only as a national defense arm, but as a global espionage tentacle, integrated with Western and Eastern intelligence, but answering ultimately to a transnational elite. Well, the Earth Alliance, which is also a clandestine coalition of sovereign patriots worldwide, 109 countries now, ex-military leaders, Y-hats within intelligence, and intergovernmental operatives, had been tracking the movement of global power for decades. Well, in this strategic game of chess, and that's what it is, it's a game of chess, right? That explains the honeypots. Israel was always the king's rock, powerful, mobile, and deeply entrenched core of the black nobility. So, key to Israel's control is not in its compromat architecture, a digital and psychological net cast across the globe, targeting politicians, or his control is through this. I'm sorry, Israel's control is through the compromat architecture, targeting politicians, royalty, media moguls, and corporate leaders. So the Epstein operation, long suspected to have Israeli roots, and they have, according to the beginning of my presentation. If you are just jumping on, watch this from the beginning before they take this down. Okay, probably will. Okay, so the Epstein operation, long suspected to have Israeli roots, represented the pinnacle of this strategy, a honeypot system collecting data and video evidence of high-level individuals in compromising scenarios. Well, this data, housed in both physical servers and cloud black vaults, created an unspoken loyalty among compromised officials in the US, the EU, and beyond. Additionally, cyber warfare units embedded within Israelis' tech exports, notably in telecommunications, cyber surveillance, and artificial intelligence, quietly allowed backdoor access into foreign critical infrastructure. And through these means, policy was not voted for, but it was scripted. Well, the Earth Alliance is getting ready to do their final move as a result of what happened, okay? As the deep state grip tightens globally through coordinated pandemics, manipulated selections, economic resets, and digital censorship, the Earth Alliance is activating Protocol Zionfall. Protocol Zionfall. And this part of the report comes from the secret prophecies, which were available to me thanks to my connections with Commander Valinthor. Project Zionfall, okay, the final operation to dismantle the most protected and isolated node of elite power, which is the tyrant of the Middle East. The plan was never to harm its people, okay, many of whom were unaware of the deeper currents beneath their nation. Rather, the mission was to surgically remove the command apparatus, dissolve the shadow networks, and reclaim Israel from globalist occupation. The fall was executed not through war, but through a cascade of strategic revelations, right? It's coming. Nothing can stop what's coming in 2026. Mass arrest, financial seizures, and the development of suppressed intelligence. Well, insiders, actors are having, they're having nightmares right now, okay? The firewall is crumbling, guys. The files are being decrypted, which means that one by one, the Mossad black vaults are being infiltrated by the White Hats. The deep state operatives embedded within Israel's leadership are being exposed, including Erica Kirk's family. The global network relying on Israel as their intelligence nexus will be cut off, according to the secret prophecies. So this is part of what they called Project Zionfall, the collapse sequence. So it is believed that the financial decapitation of the globalist elite is not the Swiss bank, right? It's not the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements. It is the Israeli Central Bank. Okay, so once that is neutralized through coordinated quantum financial operations, which is with the replacement of the QFS, black money trails will vanish overnight. Global Zionist-linked shell corporations will collapse within hours. Okay, this is part of Project Zionfall. And so part of the compromise release, and this is why I believe they're stalling the releasing of the entire documents, right? Well, the Earth Alliance is set to release sanitized portions of global compromise archives, enough to fracture the elite's unity, spark resignations. A lot of people are going to have to step down, and cause public revolt without violating human dignity. And then also the media disarmament, okay? Because we all know who controls all media, right? Through Project Operation Mockingbird. Yes, the political Zionist, which means that the Israeli-linked media conglomerates are going to be exposed as psychological warfare tools. Disinformation network is going to go dark, and trusted anchors are going to confess. Not to mention the military containment. Israeli defense systems are to be neutralized via satellite base jamming and Earth Alliance overrides. No bloodshed, no counterstrikes, but taking over the media. And then finally, the leadership fall, which is key political and intelligent figures are going to be detained under sealed international indictments. And others are going to turned over to the states. Others turned states evidence. Okay, so in the aftermath of Project Zionfall, with its shadow government dissolved, Israel being the last, then will the earth be fully liberated. Okay, but we have to fulfill the prophecy of the installation of the third temple of Solomon. And I believe that the guy married to Ivanka Trump, Kushner is going to fulfill that prophecy. I think he's already made arrangements with Netanyahu to build the third temple in Israel. We're talking about Kushner, the husband of Ivanka Trump, who is, again, a male honeypot. All right. They infiltrated the Trump family. Well, they're trying to, unfortunately. But again, the alliance is always going to have the upper hand. So religious divisions are losing their manipulative force. Peace accords are being signed, not in the name of politics, but in the name of humanity. Technology, once used for control, was repurposed for healing, water, and free energy. And so all of this is going to be happening as a result of the fall of this last card that is standing. And then at that point will a new era emerge. Okay. So a new constitution guided by universal law and cosmic alignment will replace the old system built on survival and supremacy. And again, this is from the secret prophecies. So the fall of Israel, orchestrated as the final move of the Earth Alliance, will mark not the end of a nation, but the end of a regime, the synagogue of Satan, the synagogue of Satan's rule over the planet. Okay. It will be the culmination of a quiet war between the righteous against the wicked. And in collapsing the last bastion of deep state power concentrated in the Middle East, the alliance will ignite a new renaissance worldwide. And that's when the earth will begin to shift. The veil will be lifted, right? And that's when we're going to start to see a tangible, you could say, a tangible reality of the positive ascending timeline. So the reason all of this is happening, my friends, again, it's part of a final chess game move. So again, make sure that you guys watch this from the beginning, because I probably I don't know if this is going to remain long. Okay. We'll see how long this presentation is on, or this video lasts. But I decided to tell the truth. All right. I'm tired of just giving you guys, only positive information. Sometimes we need to know exactly what's happening, right? We need to know the truth behind what is happening right now, which is a great deception. All right. As of a week ago, I used to stand with Erica Kirk, but after going deep into this rabbit hole and seeing how she's acting after her husband was taken out, she is showing no remorse. She's laughing and giggling. She's just, I don't know if you guys saw that one clip when she was redirecting her answer regarding Kathy Owens, but her eyes, I saw a demon in her eyes. And then there's another clip where she has lizard eyes. Well, when you guys consider that her entire family is Black nobility, there is a pretty good chance that she was involved in the elimination of her husband in order to inherit his empire. And from what I heard, unfortunately, she took double the offer from Netanyahu. Netanyahu offered Charlie 150 million. Charlie turned it down. And on top of turning it down, he decided to begin exposing how the political Zionists have such a great influence over politics and media in the US. And then, of course, now we come to find out that Erica inherited not only the double, 300 million from Netanyahu, that's all going to come out, but all of the other donations from donors and NGOs that are all in on it, all right? All in an effort to control the future of the Republic. But again, the White Hats do have a plan. The Galactics are set in position to intervene if they have to, okay? But one thing is clear here, guys, and this is something that Commander Valiant Thor did validate, and that is that in order to fulfill prophecy, in order to even go into the millennium, the golden age, the third temple of Israel has to be installed. And this is what I believe is happening right now with Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner is the husband of Ivanka Trump and is also a political Zionist. Okay. Again, for those that are just coming in, make sure you watch this presentation from the beginning, because it's probably not going to last very long. Okay. Anyways, I do appreciate all 3,000 people that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. And again, I always encourage you to do your own research, guys. All right. Research the company Raytheon, which is owned by Erica Kirk's father. Research the military base here in Arizona, which is known to produce what? Military style drone warfare. And when you guys look closely in the event that happened in Utah back in September, right? Uh, it seems like the way the bullet went into the neck, it was done by a drone, a little miniature drone. Okay, think about that. Okay, so it all makes a lot of sense. Okay, and for some of you guys that are thinking, well, you're a conspiracy theorist. Erica Kirk is a Christian. Remember that even in the Bible itself, it warned us about sheep in wolves' clothing, guys. You could see the true character of the individual through their eyes. Watch that clip. It was all over Fox News when they asked her about Candace Owens trying to go deeper into the truth, and how even the FBI, the DOJ, they were all involved, guys. I'm sorry to say this because of the, control that the tyrant of the Middle East has over some of the operating agencies in this country. So when you look into her eyes, those are eyes of a demonic possessed person. All right. There is nothing Christian about her. She does wear a Freemasonic ring. So do your own evidence, guys. Okay. I'm not trying to divide MAGA. Okay. I am the biggest patriot. You guys know that. I am for freedom. I am for the innocence of the people. And so, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. All right. I just do a lot of research. So if you guys are calling me some of you, not all of you, are calling me a conspiracy theorist, well, remember this, guys, that who created the term conspiracy theorist? The three-letter agency that starts with a C, right? In order to what? In order to make us think that we're going crazy when we are getting close to the truth. All right. All right. So at this point, I am going to take Q&A, beginning with super chats. Of course, if you guys do give me super chats, you guys know that I will be answering your questions for sure. So this is coming from, I can't even see. I'm wearing the wrong glasses today. All right, let me open up my phone and I'll go ahead and answer some Q&A. I hope you guys are having a fantastic morning. Oh, and by the way, all my classes are booked for January, so I can't wait to see some of the new Galactic Jedis in person. All right, so where am I here? I'm going to take Q&A beginning with super chats. Happy holidays, Galactic brother. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, these glasses aren't doing it for me. Let's try these ones. Thank you. Praying for my protection. Oh, yeah. I'm also taking a big risk knowing that they are censoring everything right now. So, but you know what, guys? I have nothing to fear. All right. I have nothing to fear. It's only when you begin to fear. Think about that. I have no fear. I like that. I prefer the term conspiracy truthers. And notice how Erica Kirk is calling Kathy Owens a conspiracy theorist. Think about that. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and ask some questions. So again, if you really want me to answer your question, I would do a super chat, because when you do that, you know for sure you're going to get your questions answered. Otherwise, I'm just going to take random questions. Thank you, Ishmael, for sharing your findings. You are so welcome, Mary Kate. I also want to welcome everyone. Thank you guys so much for being here. Also, special gratitude to my moderators. Thank you guys for keeping the chat clean and positive. Yes, Trump does know this, and the White House are trying everything in their power to mitigate whatever Netanyahu has on Trump, whatever he's using to make Trump do whatever he wants. Right? They're trying to neutralize that as much as possible. So Trump is a good guy. He's just been kind of based on something he did 30, 40 years ago. They're trying to pin him. Okay. And again, I think that Trump was in it more as a double agent. I think he was more of a mole when it came to infiltrating the Epstein networks. But, who knows? They might have a fake Trump on video doing things with little ones that people will not be able to distinguish whether that's the real one or not, that could compromise him or jeopardize him. So let's all pray for 45 and 47 in order to neutralize whatever control Netanyahu has over him. Good question, though. Ishmael, can you please tell us why President Trump keeps saying Christmas will be so special? Well, I hope that it's because his influence is by Netanyahu is neutralized, and he comes clean with releasing everything in those files, which is going to cause huge disclosures. I hope that's the case, or of course, the full activation of Nasera worldwide, the GCR, and of course, the redistribution of the world's wealth back to the people. I hope that's the case, but I don't exactly know right now as I speak. Hope is real. Hi, Ismail. Want to let you know there is another channel called Ishmael Perez Prophetic using your face and clips from your videos. Also, this information needed to be forwarded to CO ASAP. Huh. Okay. Um, oh, Candace Owens. Yes. I would love to collaborate with her. I even left her a message a few times that if she really wants to go deep into the rabbit hole, to come, bring me on. I would love to collaborate with Candace Owens. Thank you so much. And yes, I do know about that pirated channel. I've already reported it, so I don't know how long it takes for them to take it down. But thank you so much for letting me know. Carol says, "So glad that you are talking about this smelly story at last. Everybody needs to know this." Well, again, I don't know if this is going to last long. I think last time I talked about something that I wasn't supposed to talk about. Within 10 hours, they took down the video. So we'll see if this one stays. Let's all cross our fingers. This is a good question. Do you have a specific day for the first solar flash in 2026? If you have one in mind, or if you have no M in your hand, okay, this is a two-part question. Okay, let me answer the first part. If I have a specific date, no, and nobody knows the day, the time, or the hour. But I do feel that due to solar maximum, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but there is a huge hole in the sun right now. It's just that hole, it's getting bigger and wider. Well, once that hole is Earth face bound, there is going to be a CME that is going to be 10 times more powerful than the Carrington event CME, which means that that could be the solar flash. So I would say it could happen any day now. But yeah, I do believe that we are very close. Okay, we are very close to such an event. And then the next part of your question is, what is the next part of your question? Did I lose it? I guess I did. Oh, if I have an M on my hand, I actually do. I do have an M on my hand. I think that was the second part of the question. Joyful, thank you so much for the super chat. She's saying, Tara by Janine stated that the reason Trump didn't expose the election fraud with his address to Congress was because there was a huge threat to humanity that they had to diffuse. Is this correct? There has been many false flags that were supposed to take place within the last few months that have been completely counteracted or countermeasured by the Earth Alliance. So that sounds to be correct. The most recent false flag, I actually reported on it about a week ago, was an attempted using some sort of holographic advanced technology. They were going to use the image of Jesus from the sky coming down in order to install a one world religion. And of course, the alliance completely neutralized that. So, yeah, I would say that that sounds to be pretty accurate to me. Yeah, I think I should do an interview with Nina Rodriguez about the honey pot and what I just talked about today, and the Kirk, not the Kirks, but her real family's connections and where they come from, huh? Do you think Erica was the final approver of this assignation? I think you meant to say assassin. Yeah, I believe that she was in on it because she knew she was going to inherit an empire. Well, from the beginning, she was groomed for that, guys. She was groomed for that. When does the age of Aquarius begin? And the Erica Kirk we now see isn't the original. Are they using the brand for disclosure? All right, to answer the first part of your question, the age of Aquarius begins between now and 2028 because that's when this reality construct comes to an end. But as far as Erica Kirk being used as a brand for disclosure, no, I don't think so. But oh, I see what you mean. From the perspective of the White Hats to bring about this new information, right, about infiltrating through honeypots. Yeah, I think that could be used as a way for disclosure. Absolutely. Oh yeah, Candice Owens, not Kathy. Thank you for the correction. Somebody's saying don't trust Candice. Apparently, she and Eric are now friends. Okay. Um, who knows? I hope they didn't compromise Candace either, because I heard that they had this closed conversation, close to the general public, a 4-hour conversation in secret. So I don't know what that was all about. That's pretty questionable, huh? Sean Ryan just did an interview with the honeypot. All right, good to know. Okay, so a lot of you guys feel like there's something off about Erica. Yeah, I know. I kind of felt that too. That's why I wanted to go deep into the rabbit hole with this presentation, guys. In your last live, you mentioned a reset currency by December 25, 2025 or 25th. Is that realistic? No, at the end of that live, that was coming from a Judy Bidington report. They call it the Restored Republic. So, no, that didn't come from me. I was just reading a quote from Judy Bidington. She's the one who believes that this reset's coming on the 25th, which could be what Trump's, regarding a beautiful Christmas for everyone. Who knows? That's only 3 days away. I guess we're all going to find out. Yes, the reset will be worldwide. Absolutely. Somebody's saying that even Candace was bought long ago. So, in other words, she's also controlled opposition. Is that what you're saying? Okay. It's hard to know who to trust these days. All right. I am not from Earth. This is a super chat. I am not from Earth. I am not a starseed and have no special abilities. I look at my hand and see deep lines of an M and an X in the middle. I am O negative. How can I have so little insight of who I am? Well, it sounds like you are an old soul. So, in that regard, yes, you are a starseed. And so, yeah, you are definitely not from this earth. You are an old soul. Thank you for the super chat. Jaco said that Charlie's not dead. Oh, you must be referring to Michael Jaco. I know I heard about that theory. And Charlie was in on it. What do you think? Well, it could be two. This could be a two possibility outcome. One of them is that the real alliance could have protected him, right? The other possibility is that they couldn't get to him in enough time. So, he was a ritual sacrifice by the elites. Who knows? But in the end, guys, in the end, when everything comes to light, we're all going to know. As of right now, everything is just speculation, right? So please have an open mind when it comes to all these details. But we're all going to know the truth eventually. All right, one more question. One more question. I need to do another podcast with Michael Jaco. Sure. Yeah, I could do that. Yes, I did mention that Valiant Thor has access to Looking Glass on Jaco's show. That is correct. So again, guys, make sure you guys do your own research. Look up the company Raytheon. Um, look up Erica's parents and their connections. So do your own research. Always do your own research. Yes, this is a movie we're watching. It's definitely central casting, and all of these people are actors. All right, so I hope you guys have a beautiful Christmas. I'm not going to be broadcasting until next weekend on a Saturday. I hope you guys have a beautiful holiday season with your family and friends. I wish abundance and love and peace and beautiful energy for each and every single one of you. May the new year bless you all with abundance, health, and peace. And I will see you guys in about 5 days for another presentation. Meanwhile, don't forget to question everything, even my reports. Always do your own research. Take what resonates, discard what doesn't, but always do your own research, guys, okay? And question everything. May the God force be with you all, and I will see you guys Saturday night for another update. Now, do me a favor, guys. Due to the nature of what was revealed in this presentation today, I'm not sure if this is going to remain very long online. Make sure each and every single one of you forward this to at least as many people as possible, okay? So that way I could plant the seeds and have everybody do their own research. May the God force be with you all, and I'll see you guys in about 5 days for another presentation. See you guys then.